Three, two, and one. All right, and welcome back to the Educators Podcast. We have a special guest today, as usual, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself because that's how we do it here. So go ahead, man. Tell them who you are.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me. I'm Amobi Okugo, first generation Nigerian American, born and raised in California, Sacramento to be exact. Besides that, grew up playing soccer and basketball until soccer kind of took over. It's allowed me to have so many wonderful opportunities at a very young age. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to play at a high level, which led me to go to the high school in Florida to compete for the U17 national team. From there, traveled all around the world, ended up going to UCLA for college, left after my freshman year to go pro. So I've been pro since 2010, with stops in Philadelphia, Orlando, Kansas City, Portland, and now Austin. And then outside of that, I started A Frugal Athlete. I know we're going to get into that later. Started a foundation. Got a couple other projects, but that's kind of me. Oldest of four siblings. That's
cool. Hey, you're trying to sum up, 30 years in like 30 seconds. So that worked. Happy birthday, by the way, belated birthday. So
much love. Appreciate that.
Welcome to the 30s. I'm 2 years ahead of you, so not too far.
I heard the level up is crazy when you hit 30.
No, I think 30s is cool, man. I mean, especially if you take care of if you do work in your 20s, your 30s are fun. I think
that's what they're telling me.
You know what I mean? I think obviously you've been doing your thing and I not in the soccer way, but as far as like doing my degree and teaching, we got our house, I got my wife, got my kid. So I think if you put the grind in, you put the work in your 20s, I think the 30s are kind of smooth, from what I hear.
That's good. I'm taking advice from you. I'm trying to learn.
There you go. And one of my best friends, man, Pat Ricker, shout out to him. He kind of took your route, man. He was at IMG and then he went to UCLA as well. So he's 2 years ahead of you, but he went to Jesuit, did the whole thing, and didn't get to all the way, but he was definitely one of the ballers growing up for sure. One of my
he's a legend. He's a Sacramento soccer legend. People don't. You got to respect the OGs. He's someone that like paved the way for guys like myself and the younger guys. And fortunately enough, when I was at UCLA, he was still there, and he was good. And we keep in touch from time to time. I know he's doing great things in the tech space now.
Yeah, dude, he's my. We were in kindergarten together, man. Because I went to school in Davis, so I went to school with the Anibabas, man. Like I don't know them like that, but they went to my school in elementary. So like we have a cool little soccer elementary for sure. We have some talent in my school for sure. But yeah, small world, and man. So we just talk about, like you said, you were drafted. You went to UCLA. Let's talk about this little school thing. I'm a teacher, so what were you studying at UCLA? I don't know how long you were there for, and kind of what drove you to kind of go to UCLA first of all? I mean, obviously soccer probably took you there, but as far as the studies in the classroom, what kind of drove you to do that?
No, that's a great question. I mean, my parents are big on education. Just being first generation, they value education very much, and I know the play on words with the podcast. But for me, I wanted to go to UCLA because it had the best of both worlds: a great education and also a great athletic program. And fortunately, it was the farthest school away that was still the closest. My parents were adamant about me staying in California, so I cut it down to Santa Clara, Cal, Stanford, and UCLA. And while all those schools were great, UCLA, once you get on that campus, it's hard to say no. So decided to go to UCLA, and then my major was business econ. So although I was only there at UCLA's trimesters, so they go fall, winter, spring.
Right.
So my major was business econ, but that first quarter I was only doing like gen ed classes. So I had like climate change. I had a English class, and then like a calculus advanced class or something. So I didn't really get into my major. By the time I left, I had to transfer my credits and figure out another option to continue my education. But that's what I went into UCLA for.
Nice. Yeah, nice. No, yeah, UCLA is magical for sure. You go, I remember going on a visit, and that was my dream school, but I never put like that much work into it to say I'm going to go there, but I definitely, I stayed home, man, Sac State, I wanted to be around here. I already had stuff going for me here. So, we just kept it going. But yeah, UCLA was cool. It was my dream school. Actually, that was a school I wanted to go to. Just like seeing that campus a couple of times, I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? So yeah. But that's cool, man. So you were able to go to the Philadelphia, and obviously you say you continue your studies and you went into business, man. So let's, I don't know what you want to talk about first. You want to talk about soccer first? You want to talk about business? You decide. What do you want to do first?
We could talk about soccer first.
Okay, we'll get soccer out of the way. I mean, like right now, I mean, I was following you, like I said, since you were able to go to UCLA. I remember, your name because you're a couple years back. So, we know the players around here in Sac. Sac's not that big, right? So, you were actually at the Olympic qualifiers, right? You were able to go with the U.S. team, right?
Yeah, fortunately and unfortunately, I was part of the 2012 Olympic qualifying group that didn't qualify, unfortunately, but it was a great experience to have the opportunity to represent your country and ultimately try to compete for the Olympics. It was a blessing in disguise for me and like the rest of the group. And, you don't take those moments for granted. And it's one of the memories that I'll always have, from my soccer career for sure.
Was that one of the few times that you were able? I mean, I know you were there with the U17s. Was there other opportunities that you were able to play to represent the United States?
Yeah. So fortunately for me, I've been part of the U.S. Soccer team from the very first U14 camp all the way to the U23. So I've been capped at every level except the full team. So it's fortunate and unfortunate. I would love to have completed the cycle. You never know. I can get lucky and everyone gets injured and maybe get called up. But at that moment, I don't think I don't think I'll be able to complete the cycle. But you might as well try and compete, and you never know what could happen.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of like a running theme here that we talk about, like people of bi-cultures, just two different cultures or three. You say you're firstborn. So yeah, let's kind of talk about that. I mean, Nigeria is like a huge soccer nation, so it's obviously in your blood. There's no way you're getting away from that. And obviously, like a lot of my friends that I've had on here are either Mexican or from other countries, and they speak two languages. And we just grew up in being we're the first generation. You are, I am,
Exactly.
and we're just trying to, my parents always say you got to do more than we did, do more than than we got to. And it's kind of hard when my parents both went to college, and it was like, dang, it wasn't like the standard was too low. I was like, man, come on, man, so it wasn't that easy. Like, some people just say, oh, I'm the first to go to college or whatever. And it's like, man, my house, college was just normal. My parents normalized that, it's like, you're going to go. The question was, where are you going to go? Not if you were going to go.
I totally feel you on that.
Yeah. I don't know if you could relate to that a little bit.
No, definitely. I know, being a first generation son of immigrants or child of immigrants, the pressure's on you to, perform and, like you said, carry the torch or, carry the legacy, because all the sacrifices they made. I know you can attest to it. I can attest to it, and then especially me being the firstborn in a Nigerian American household, it's just, like every mistake you make is like 10x, and then because you're the example, you're supposed to be, and then you're kind of like the guinea pig because your parents don't really know how to raise you in a different like culture, so they're using like the culture that they came from in a whole new environment. So how does it work, and how do they conform to some of the traditions in this new society? But I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Some of the qualities that I have are because of how my parents raised me, and I know that they did the best that they could, and for me, that's all I could ask for.
Yeah, man. A lot of it depends on like at what age your parents come, right? Because like one thing I could kind of compare is like, I mean, my parents were a little bit different. They came young, so it's a lot different when you come young and kind of go to school here, and then you kind of see how things kind of work. So it's a little different when somebody comes in their 20s, somebody comes in their 30s, right? So I don't know. Did your family your parents come pretty young? Were they able to kind of assimilate, or did they come later on?
Yeah, so my dad came in probably late 20s, early 30s, and then my mom came like mid 20s. But yeah, they both came and like had to, struggle, sacrifice a lot to really get adjusted to how it is out here. And then from there, you just learn over time, build relationships, obviously work. And then and so at some point too, not the siblings, the children teach the parents too in some different ways in terms of how certain traditions and customs go.
Correct. Yeah, like Thanksgiving, different things. Like, this is what we're doing. Yeah.
I remember, that's a great story. I remember kindergarten. I came like running home about like, mom, I need a costume. And I was like, a costume? What do you mean a costume? Halloween. And I was like, what's Halloween? So it's like things like that. But it's all fun now. We all look back on it and laugh.
That's cool, man. So, being able to play like for the United States, and then like you have that, you're Nigerian, you're not going to deny that ever. I think it's a little bit different for like someone who's Mexican American because the rivalry that's there, so it's like right now we
Who do you
see,
cheer for?
Man, I ain't gonna ask. So it's hard, right? Because I've had players that I've known, like I said, Pat Rickards, other buddies that I've known that played for the U.S. program. So of course I want them to do well, and of course I'm from here. Of course I was born here, and of course my son's born here, But it's a soccer game, and when it's a soccer game, it's a little bit different, And when it's Mexico USA at the Rose Bowl, I mean, you don't have to ask me where I'm going for,
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. It's like when I grew up, I didn't know about MLS, so I didn't really follow the U.S. men's national team. It was like, who's on the Nigerian national team, who's playing for them. Like you got Coach Sunday Elise, Kanu,
King Keshi, man.
Finity George, Taribo West. Like those are people that I grew up on. So then obviously as I got into the system and, started learning about it more, and then obviously more and more games were on TV, that's when I actually started like, oh, okay, you got some, U.S. men's national team. Obviously the 2002 World Cup did a great job because they made it to the quarters, I believe.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, all right, U.S. soccer is kind of here to make its mark. But before that, it's always, and it still is, Nigeria.
So let's just say hypothetically, I know let's just say you're in that situation like a lot of guys are right now, and Nigeria calls you, even though you were born and raised here, Nigeria hits you up and U.S. hits you up. I mean, what would you choose?
To be honest, because of like my history with U.S. and all the opportunities they gave me, I would probably pick U.S. Okay. And that's no disrespect to the motherland. It's just that if I literally have been able to travel all over the world because of being able to play for U.S. soccer.
Yeah.
Residency. Some of my best friends have come through playing with the U.S. youth national teams. But if it was just like me coming up side by side, I would have, Nigeria.
Right. Yeah. If you didn't grow up, in the system kind of, and you were just playing pro somewhere and they, both are calling you. Yeah. I think we know who you would choose, but yeah, that's cool, man. It's just it's like a touchy subject, especially I know you probably follow a lot, like how it is with, Mexican Americans. Like it's huge because guys are going back and forth, flopping back and forth. And right now, US is grabbing guys from England and they're stealing dudes from wherever. Like, it's like, it's like this little fight for these guys. And it's like, a lot of guys are probably not going to pan out anyways, because, careers just, they take different paths. But
that's true.
I think it is a tough thing for when it's US and Mexico, just because of their neighbors, just because of like, the integration of the two countries, they're just neighbors. And I think someone that grows up in a household, their parents probably show them something else. And it's really hard for them to be like, it's got to be a tough thing.
Yeah, facts.
So it's probably, that's pretty cool, man. So kind of talking about that, I know you got into this whole like, you're doing your organization, you got your foundation. Sorry. I mean, right now you're doing this media thing, man. You got a studio set up. You're doing all kinds of things. I've been following you for a long time, so I know you're trying to stay busy. How did you get into this whole frugal athlete thing, man? Like, congratulations first. I know you're Forbes, 30 by 30, 30 under 30.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, that means a lot. So for me, it kind of came about. I mean, I've always been interested in business and finance, just like entrepreneurship, marketing, and all that. But it wasn't until I saw the 30 for 30 Broke documentary where I was like, okay, this is a game changer. I'm like motivated to like learn more. And obviously, playing soccer in the States, we don't, we're not compensated as much as the NBA or NFL guys. So it was like, how can I find like a pathway of athletes that leverage their career, leverage their capital to live a life well spent after their careers were over. We can always see the story about LeBron James, Tom Brady, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, or Serena Williams. But I want to know about the other stories, the guy that maybe was in a niche sport, like a Paul Rabel or a Junior Bridgman or Andrew Hawkins, and that's kind of what motivated me. And then started out kind of as a passion project. And then from there, actually like built it out into a business. And fortunately, it's doing well. We've got a lot of credibility. We're trying to grow every day. This year, I mean, last year was a big year for us, but this year it's all about scaling. It's all about trying to help and impact as many, not only athletes, but individuals that are, looking to learn about financial literacy.
So is that what, is it kind of an education thing? Is it consulting? You want to kind of explain a little bit what it is?
Yeah, so Frugal Athlete is an online financial media platform that promotes prudent financial practices and smart career decisions amongst professional athletes and student athletes. So ideally, our mission is to help athletes make, manage, and multiply their money through financial education and athlete empowerment. But through that, because athletes are natural role models and natural trendsetters, we think that we can help the regular individual. And I don't say the regular individual as like a knock on them, but we can help them learn about financial literacy through the athlete content that we share. We also do consulting, we do speaking engagements, workshops, we have courses, the whole media aspect, podcast, newsletter, written content, video content. It all works in like a whole web to, help our mission of, increasing financial literacy.
That's dope. And you said regular people, so I think you're talking about me, but it's cool.
No, yeah. See, I don't want to. I got to figure out a way to say that better, like non-athletes.
Oh, yo, man, come on, man.
Yeah,
we're all one knee injury away. You know what I mean? From being regular people.
Facts. I try to tell athletes all that all the time.
I think I'm on my third. I think I'm on my third meniscal tear. So we'll see. You know what I mean? So, anyways, yeah, man. So that's a huge. When I saw that, I was like, wow, that's so smart, because it seems like something so obvious to do, like someone who's bringing in, and we kind of like joked, because I remember that documentary came out and they kind of said that the guys that were on there didn't know it was going to be that, right? I think they got interviewed. Yeah. They didn't know that they were going to get kind of clowned on a little bit and showed like in the wrong way. And so it's like, you see them spend all this money on these jackets and these just crazy things. And I think a lot of us, we look at someone and go like, wow, how can you spend $30 million, bro? And it's like, bro, you can spend that easily. You know what I mean? You can spend that in a day if you wanted to.
You can spend that easy. And so it's all about how can we change the behavior around finance and money management and focus on some of the things that, not only hurt athletes. Like, I think the biggest misconception is because we see athletes every day, we see their money mistakes. But if you talk to, financial advisors or people in the wealth management space, they'll say, lawyers have these same issues, doctors, high net worth and high earning individuals, just because we're just not taught it at the basic level.
And especially something like, I know you're reaching out to other sports. I know like they probably do some kind of education, right, for rookies, right? Like NFL, to kind of brings them in, NBA, right? They kind of do that, right?
Yeah. So we do like the rookie symposium, but at the same time, while you have all these resources for the athletes, all about how proactive you're going to be, because while they do like, have like the guest speakers come in and the programs and stuff, the athletes have to be the ones that are proactive, that are asking the questions, that are participating in the courses and programs, and then go from there.
Yeah, man, that's a huge like resource, man. Huge tool for these guys to use, or anyone, because, as a teacher myself, we're a little frugal. We make some close decisions, really good. And I credit my wife for that, because I'm definitely not the saver. I'm the gambler, and I'm just trying to, hey, we do this, and she's like, no, we're not doing any of that. So I credit her for anything we have is because she manages it really well. So the money management is huge, and obviously, like you said, financial literacy is something that I've been talking to business teachers at my school and different things. Like, we just need to get that into these kids way younger, like a lot of us don't get, a lot of us get it from our parents, or what if they don't have parents, or what if they don't have that resource, like no one teaches us how to buy a house or how to buy a car or how to even do our taxes, little things like that.
Facts. Well, let's link up. I know you're doing a great work in the community, for your school program. So I'd love to connect and figure out ways to,
that'd be cool.
Do some speaking engagements, workshops. So I know we'll keep in touch after this. So that's not even an issue.
Heck yeah. No, I appreciate that. And I was thinking about that with my buddy, and he was on one of the previous episodes. He's a business teacher, and we talk about that. There's so many things to teach anyone anyways. There's so many different, terminology and processes and just different things that it's almost impossible, because, school's already kind of impossible. The things we throw at these kids, it's a lot, and there's not enough. We're definitely not throwing enough, but there's only so much little time we get when the kids are in the room, so it is definitely tough to do that. But we definitely do have to get these younger athletes, younger students, younger people, just to learn how to manage their money and just make better decisions from the beginning,
No, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. So you got that from obviously your schooling, right? Your business econ and all that. Is that how you got the idea, or you link up with somebody?
So a lot of it was like schooling. A lot of it was asking the right questions and to the right people. And then a lot of it was self-research. So, my bookcase is filled with a bunch of, personal finance type of books. I've had a lot of good mentors over the course of my career, my life, that have helped me like steer me down the right path in terms of asking questions and stuff like that.
That makes sense. Yeah. So, who are the kind of these people that you kind of looking up to? Obviously I'm a huge Gary V guy. I don't know if you're into any of these social media people. Influencers, is anybody you kind of look up to? Like, man, I like how he kind of tells us what to do or what?
Well, yeah, I respect Gary Vee. I think he does a great job of helping people out. I think a lot of people, when it comes to Gary Vee, they forget to realize that he has a whole team behind him when it comes to how he's on social media all the time. I used to try to be like, I have to post like on this platform and that platform, but then I realized Gary Vee has a videographer, and then he has a whole team of interns and employees that are pushing out the content, editing it. But his message is very, direct and very clear. So yeah, Gary Vee someone, but from the personal finance, money management type space or athletes that I kind of use as role models, Andrew Hawkins is someone I've developed a relationship with. He's kind of like in terms of like the roadmap of how to leverage your capital and your career. He's someone that I really enjoy following. Paul Rabel, another one. He played lacrosse, but he's been able to build a big following, a big business based on how he's been able to leverage his brand and, his relationships. Junior Bridgman, although he's kind of like before my time, just the way he's built a massive network and net worth just by, being humble and, learning from the right people and taking the long-term approach. Those for sure. And then from the personal finance influencer kind of people, I really love Ramit. I'm forgetting his last name, but he's the author of I Will Teach You to Be Rich. So he talks about different things, different tactics of how to like negotiate, how to, think, everyone's talking about, yeah, it's cool to save, money on Starbucks every day and not go to Starbucks, but ask yourself the tougher questions like, what's going to help me be able to save up to buy a house? What's going to be like, his line of thinking is really cool. Even though he kind of gets a bad rep sometimes, Dave Ramsey, I think he's really cool in terms of like just direct and like no cookie cutter stuff. He's like direct, like if you want to get out of debt, this is what you need to do. You got to do this and that. Two new guys that are really popular, Earn Your Leisure, their podcast, they do a great job.
Yes.
So I was following them from the very beginning, and to see their growth, just talking about financial literacy in a different way. That's what it's all about. So Anthony O'Neill, he's all part of the Dave Ramsey like franchise team. Yeah, he's good. He breaks down financial concepts in a good way. That's basically it.
Nice. So you definitely consume a lot of this like content and information, right? And kind of try to apply that. And I mean, we always got to keep learning, right? That's what we got to do. We have to keep learning everybody in any space, And I think a lot of times you said with the Gary Vee thing, it's like, I watch him just kind of like as motivation because I know like, like you said, yeah, there is like, he's the NFTs and Bitcoin, all these different things like, bro, I can't, I don't even have that kind of dough, you know what I mean? To chill, So there's a lot of things like that, but also like you said, pushing out the videos and the cuts and like, you got to be on TikTok, you got to be on, Clubhouse, you got to be like, bro, like, when am I going to do all that? You know what I mean?
Exactly. So I think the biggest thing is like you start with one and then from there just build out. I think that's kind of that's been my approach. So I have like a whole Excel spreadsheet of like, all right, I'm posting content on this day. I'm doing content on that way. I'm like making long form content. So it's easier to cut mini clips instead of like trying to do one of each. So everyone has their own process, but take the motivation and like the insights that they have, but also be respectful to yourself as a person and your time,
Yeah, no, it definitely, time is, like I say, time is money, and you don't, you only have a certain amount of time every day. Everyone gets 24 hours, but one thing is like, it's, yeah, you could repurpose things like you said and push them out and do all these things, but you got to do it within your means, and just like anything, you got to do it within your means. And like, sometimes it might not be as valuable or whatever, or, cause like, I even like Grant Cardone, but it's like, bro, I don't have that kind of money to buy 8-unit complexes or whatever he's talking about. So, but it's cool though. Like I like his attitude and stuff,
Yeah, so, it's like, take your money, buy a complex, do this, refinance it, 1031 it. Now you got a whole apartment building. Like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, I just dropped my light. It's cool. No, it's fine. No, and that's something that I kind of take too with the, grain of salt. It's like, bro, relax. You know what I mean? Like, let's just try to get into our first house, and then from there we'll figure out what we can do. But it's kind of goes back to like living within your means, like these athletes that sometimes will buy the new car or whatever it may be, or anyone. It's not even just athletes. We can talk about anybody. It could be a grocery clerk. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're not managing that check that comes in, you are definitely like you're overspending. It's a simple concept, right? If you spend more than what you bring in, you're not gonna go anywhere that way.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then at the same time, like then you got people telling you like, don't save money and put it here and put it there. And it's like, I don't think there's a cookie cutter. Like you said, I don't think there's a cookie cutter way of doing this. I think there is like different ideas, and it's really up to you what you can do.
Exactly. Everyone has their own strategy. There's many ways to the top of the mountain. That's what my dad always says. Like, so what may work for you may not work for me. You may like real estate. I may like stocks. Gary Vee may like NFTs. We can all get to our end goal, but it's just different ways about it.
Yeah, man. So what is one of your goals, man, financially? What are you trying? I don't, you don't have to share too much, but what are you trying to do with, I know you could be a frugal and you could find ways to not overspend and buy things you don't need. So what are you trying to do eventually with this, finances you're trying to do?
Yeah. So financially, I want to get to a place where I can, safely take care of my family, my immediate family. So whatever that looks like. I know my parents are getting older, so if I can, make sure they're good, that would be ideal. And then I want to be able to be just financially free. And in order to do that, I just got to be efficient. And a lot of times when people say frugal, they think of it just being like, you just got to be cheap, save. But at the end of the day, frugal means you got to be efficient. So how can I be efficient with the capital that I've earned to maximize it for the long term? So for me, I want to be able to do what I'm doing like currently now, but at a bigger level. So hopefully from a financial standpoint, I have the luxury to do that.
All right, man. If you need anybody to do some Spanish content, I got you.
Okay. No, for real. We're actually trying to get some of their courses translated. So
well, you got your Spanish teacher right here, my man. So
okay. I appreciate that.
But yeah, man, I think, as long as we're able to be a resource for people and help them out, that's pretty much what I'm doing with this podcast. Like, I didn't even have like a goal to be, I'm not trying to be Joe Rogan. Like I can't be, it won't work like that. So what I wanted to do, to be honest, was like, I always tell my students to like, they're like, some kids are funny or some kids are really talented in certain things. Like, start a YouTube channel. And a lot of them will hit me with oh, I don't have a camera. I don't have this. I'm like, hey man, just do it with what you have, your phone or whatever. And so what I did over the summer, obviously the pandemic got us, man, we were bored out of our minds, right, in July. And so I just said, you know what, I think I'm going to start this podcast thing on my phone. And I downloaded the app and I started recording on my phone just like this. And I had no video content for about 17 episodes. And then I realized like, okay, we kind of probably need video to kind of market it a little bit better on social media, and I initially wanted to do a soccer podcast because, I love everything about soccer, business, culture, everything. But I was like, I'm gonna try to do something that is not that, niche, so I could kind of keep my guest list kind of open, and kind of see where it goes from there. But I don't know. That's what I'm doing. I know you got your podcast, so kind of tell me like, where do you find all this time, man? Do you like sleep or what? Are you up all night?
Yeah, I sleep. I sleep. I sleep. I'm a sleeper. It's just like I'm just efficient with the time that I have. I time block. I like everything. If it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done. So I know we were missing each other quite a bit, but we found time, and now we're getting this podcast done. But I'm all about my Google Calendar. I'm all about Calendly. I'm all about having like my list that I have on a day-to-day basis, and then with that, just try to be as efficient as possible within my schedule.
And I think that's huge, man. That's something I'm trying to pick up on. Is like I was reading something. It was something about like something to do with your frog, whatever. But you're supposed to, if you have to eat 2 frogs, you got to eat the bigger one first. So it's kind of like talking about like planning and getting all that stuff out of the way. And I feel like if you're able to, I think it was something like some stat I was reading. It was like you spend 10% of your time planning, then you're going to save 90% of your time, something like that, something weird like that. But it was like very, it made sense. So I was like, man, you know what? Like I have the Google Calendar, I have these different things, but maybe I need to start a little physical journal. Cause like you said, there's like, I got my son, I got my family, I have his t-ball practice, his soccer training, I have like school, work, I'm taking college classes. Like, dude, I don't even think there's enough time in the day anymore. Like, dude, I'm running out of time, it's midnight already.
It's crazy. Yeah. I wish there's some days like, I need a clone or something, or I need like 5 hours. It needs to be 30 hours in a day. But like you said, we make time for the things that we want to do as you have, with this podcast, with your family, with school and all the things that you do. And I'm the same way. So
yeah, I haven't even had time to kind of like consume entertainment, as far as like Netflix, or people think, oh, you're going to stay home this whole year. You have time to like, you know what? I haven't done any of that. I really don't like, like, it wasn't like, it was almost like I was wasting time if I did that, I was like, I don't want to watch that. You know what I mean? Like I did catch a couple things here and there, but to say like I binge watched for a whole year is no, like I never no.
I feel you on that.
I wanted to create content instead of consuming it, but
respect. That's a Gary Vee line right there. Create.
Yeah, man, you gotta be create. But no, kind of talking about with your, going into your podcast, because I think your podcast is not. I was listening to a couple episodes already. You don't really talk about the whole frugal athlete thing, right? It's a whole different thing. It's kind of like you said, it was like through a black lens, right? Talking about soccer and culture, right? Is that what it's kind of based
on? Well, it's crazy because I got 3 different podcasts.
Oh, dang. I only checked out the 2 Cents one. So
yeah, so I got 2 Cents. That's a soccer podcast where we talk about soccer, business, culture, right. Kind of from a black lens in an unfiltered way. And that comes live every Friday. We just got a new episode, so check that out. Then I got Past the Remote with my brother. So it's basically our excuse to watch TV shows and movies because we talk about, movies, TV, film, entertainment every Tuesday, and that's on IG Live. So make sure you guys tune into that. And then I got my podcast, A Frugal Athlete Podcast Network, where we have all our audio content from a Frugal Athlete perspective. We do interviews. I do personal audio vlogs. We repurpose some of our video content to audio. And that's where we have all our audio content. And those are on a weekly basis. Usually interviews will come out every Tuesday morning. And then the other stuff will come when it comes out. But yeah, that's the whole audio stuff.
That's dope though. You have this whole like YouTube thing going. I see you on IG Live, so I didn't realize that was a different thing. So you definitely kind of know what I'm doing as far as juggling all these different things. I'm personally trying to grow like this personal brand of mine. Like I'm trying to for a long time, I think a lot of people make the mistake and they kind of want to hide behind like a social media account. But I feel like in order to get that connection and someone to kind of buy into like, oh, this guy's, you gotta kind of show your face, you gotta have to like kind of show who you are, so people can kind of consume the content and have that connection with you, So I definitely had that connection. I'm like watching you, like, all right, he's from Sac, boom, they already checked one thing, you like, you play soccer, so obviously you're already checking a bunch of boxes for me. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna consume this, So it's kind of like making those connections with people, and I know you're doing it all the time. You're like you said, 3 different networks you're posting to, and then the other day you were doing like these videos and you're trying to like call these brands out to help get these guys recognized and stuff, and I think that's the new wave, right? Like these brands are gonna do better off getting smaller I would say celebrities or smaller figures to kind of like endorse it than to try to go chase Michael Jordan down and sign him for a deal. It's not gonna work out.
No, and it ties back to everything you just said. It's more authentic. I love what you said about putting your name behind the brand, because that's something that I struggle with, especially with the Frugal Athlete. I was doing it to make sure, like, wanted to be like a credible, like almost like a media source, kind of like how you have like money.com or NerdWallet. But with the way a Frugal Athlete set up, if I'm, telling my authentic stories, experiences that I've had, how I handle, my money and investments in certain ways, people can relate to that. They're able to like trust me. So this past year and a half, that's what I've been focused on. So you're seeing me on IG Live, I'm doing the reels, I'm showing my face more. And then now it's like, oh, I know a Frugal Athlete, that's Amobi. Like he has all these people, like they're talking about this stuff. And then now it's more trustworthy. Now I'm able to, get more opportunities through that. So you hit the nail on the head with that one.
That's what I'm trying. And that's why I kind of like realized, you know what, man, like I am a teacher today, but I do want to be in media, eventually I do want to be like, either whatever, podcasting, do whatever it is I need to do, get opportunities. But if I don't put myself out there, there's definitely the opportunity is not going to be there. It's not going to be, I wouldn't be Zooming with you today if I wouldn't have all these, 37 episodes already published,
Facts. Hey, well, if you want to try to get some soccer content, come. We got a space for you in the 2 Cents team.
Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Just let me know.
I was already featured. Like I hooked up with a couple guys. They do like Mexican League, Liga MX, soccer podcast. They're from San Fernando Valley, and I hit them. We just kind of connected on Instagram, and they say, hey, come be a guest. And I was like, all right, I guess. So after I was with them and just talking soccer for an hour, it was like refreshing. Like, oh, these guys know what I'm talking about. And so then after that, it just eventually became this like, I would say, relationship where I've been on their show several times. Just like I don't know, we just talk Mexican soccer, MLS.
Recurring guest now.
Yeah, I'm a recurring guest, and I, sometimes I can't even go because it's like 7:30 on Wednesday, and I got my son right here running around, I got to take him to, his training or whatever it may be. So it's like little things like that. So I don't know, it's just finding the time, but I definitely like, it's refreshing to talk about things that I'm passionate about, you know, and this is
Facts.
something I'm passionate about, like helping people and just, you know, I became a teacher not to teach just Spanish verbs and conjugate things, but definitely like just to be around, you know, students and shape their minds and
Yeah.
get them ready for the next level, whatever that is for them, you know. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know where this is going to take me. I don't know where this podcast is going to go, but I definitely want to be, I don't know, be there and be able to create content, practice a little bit, get out there and make connections with people. And I've had guests on here that are, you know, from Oregon. I've got guests from Chicago, you know, just different people that we would never be able to interact in real life, you know, because I don't, you know, it's different, you know, life's different now. So.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. And like people ask me all the time, like the podcast game, like should I start one? I would say I don't care if you end up like you said being Joe Rogan or Joe Budden or all these different podcasts that are like doing crazy
Million.
numbers.
Yeah.
I would say start one because you are gonna do so much. You're gonna learn so much about yourself. You're gonna improve in so many different skills from a communication standpoint, how to flow a conversation, how to ask right questions, how to navigate and like direct, how to connect with people. You learn so much from just doing a podcast. I've done over 300 podcasts, like as an
Wow.
interviewer and interviewee, and like I used to be shy in terms of like public speaking. Now it's like at least over audio. I'm not sure about if it's like public in person,
Right.
but for the audio standpoint, I can like if I go back to my like first episodes to now, it's night and day. So whether or not you have like big plans for having to do or wanting to do a podcast, I would say start it. You know, so for anyone listening, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. People ask me now that I'm doing like, hey, should I start? And I go like, do it. Like, how do you start? Just do it. Like, because I didn't ask no questions. You know, I just YouTube University. I was just Googling
Yeah,
stuff and I'm like, hey, you know, use this app and this and that. And, you know, if I check out a microphone, I graduated to that, you know, I had a light, you know, whatever it may
yeah,
be, but little things here and there where I was like, to me, it was more like letting my creative juices just kind of flow, you know, because
yeah.
I've always
Because
liked to
everyone's
draw.
creative.
Yeah, it's creative, and I've always liked to draw. I've always liked to, you know, graphic design. I've always liked to do things like that. But it was like I never had a purpose to actually doing it. Like I didn't have like, you know, I wasn't employed to do that. I wasn't working with someone to do this. So it's like, you know, sometimes I don't like to just do free draw. I want to do something that kind of connects with something.
Yeah,
So when it became, you know, I don't know, I just started doing this. I've been hooking up with different people, like, hey, you know, this and that. So I don't know. It's fun. It's definitely fun. It gets that creative juices going. You're obviously a very creative person because you have all these different ideas. I know you probably like, you know, hang out with you kind of come up with them, but you're doing like your videos and then you got the ozone studio rolling out. You got all kinds of things,
thank
man.
you.
So kind of talk about that. Like, where do you get all these, not just the ideas, but like the initiative just to do all these things? Like, when are you going to just stop and just, you know, play soccer?
No, I think you said it. I think you said it best. I mean, because like I think I was a fellow SAC gentleman. He's actually the founder of Rapid Brands, like the Rapid Ramen. Chris Johnson.
Oh,
He said it best. He said, you know, apparently his grandpa had told him one day, he's like, "What's the richest piece of land in the world?" And like we were both on a panel, and he asked that to the group, and the group was like, I don't know, like they said, like started naming London, New York, and he was like, no, the graveyard, because that's where all the ideas, you know, and all the regrets went. So it kind of reminded me of like my mindset when it comes to like having an idea. What's the worst that can happen? Just do it. People are going to like it. People are not going to like it. And then you go with it. But I think when it comes to, oh, that person's so creative, that person's, you know, so thing, they're actually just, they're able to execute. I think that's the only difference, because everyone has great ideas. Everyone has, you know, things that they're good at. It's just that, are you going to showcase it to the world? Are you going to live in your purpose? And for me, you know, soccer has just been a vehicle. Soccer's been one of the best cars I've been able to drive, because it's allowed me to do so many things, get a proper education, you know, play a sport I love, you know, build relationships, you know, do all these different things that who knows if I would have been able to do. And then with that, I'm able to use the opportunities with other things. So that's why I'm just like, yo, me and my brother had an idea. We're like, yo, let's see who we need to get together. Let's do it. I had an idea for my birthday. All right, cool. That's a cool concept. We'll call it my cousin. He hooked it up. We got it done. So that's kind of how it's all about. And if you ask for help, people are going to be willing to help you. So that's kind of been my mindset with how I'm going about everything.
yeah, you hit it. Cause like, I definitely like what the logo thing, I'm still working on my logo, but a coworker of mine, a big shout out to him, Ben. He's like, I got you, man. I'll make you into a character. I'm like, all right, cool. He got me. He sent me that. And then, I had a couple buddies that are DJs and musicians, and they just send me beats, and I've been using them on my, my intro. They actually made an intro for me. So like little things where I'm like, oh, I could, we can connect people, and I could kind of shout them out. And, this little podcast thing, even though it's a 1 hour episode, it has a lot of moving parts to it. It has a lot of little things that kind of go with it. And I kind of, I highlight my guests, I highlight myself, I highlight the people that are helping me make the music behind it. So I don't know, it's really cool. It's a little vehicle, like you said, it's moving. It's fun. It definitely is fun. And kind of speaking of that, like I don't know, your soccer, your career, talk about that right now. You're in Austin, right?
Yeah, so I'm in Austin. We're playing for the Austin Bolt out here. It's the second division team. So we're in the USL. So it's a great city, great team. Coach is good, and this year I think we're going to surprise some people. We got some good players on our squad.
That's tight, man. So you kind of bouncing around different teams, right? I mean, how does that kind of work? If you want to kind of talk about a little bit about your career as far as like, contracts, how long they are, I don't know. I mean, we're not going to talk too personal stuff, but I know you've been bouncing around a little bit. What do you take as far as like, do you have an agent that kind of helps you make these decisions, or are you just, representing yourself, or how does that work?
Yeah, so for the most part, the majority of guys have agents, and they help represent them in terms of contract negotiations and, finding the right team. So for me, I originally got drafted to Philadelphia. So even though an agent helped me work out the deal, it didn't really have a decision on which club I was going to go to. That was kind of through the draft. And then obviously throughout the time, you have an agent that helps you out, try to leverage based on your play. The team kind of controls if they want to keep you or if they don't. So the standard contracts are usually like 3 years guaranteed, 2-year option. It would be like a 1+1, or 2 years guaranteed, 1-year option. It really just depends on the player and the team and what's the agent's able to negotiate. You have some guys that are able to, or like to represent themselves, depending on if they have the leverage or if they want to just represent themselves because they want that pressure. But for me, I got traded a couple times. I got picked up by a couple teams. That's just how soccer goes. It's just a blessing. Earlier in my career, I used to be like, man, this team said they like me, but they wanted to trade me so they can get someone else that's cheaper. How does that make sense? But at the end of the day, it's been a blessing because I've been able to live in multiple cities. I've been able to, build out my base in terms of relationships that I know, embrace different coaches. And then now it's like whenever we go on a away trip, I know somebody in that city or know somebody on the team, or I know just something about that city just because I've had the fortunate pleasure of, playing all over the country.
Is someone representing you right now? Or are you doing
I got an agent right now.
Okay, that's cool. I was wondering just because, you're doing the whole frugal thing. I wanted to see if you were like, this whole rebel and just kind of do your own thing. Okay, that's cool. Because obviously, people get surrounded by people that maybe make poor decisions for them or whatever. They don't have the best interest for them. So I was just wondering what you were doing, but that's cool, man. I know I talked to one of my mentors of mine who used to be a, pro soccer owner, and he just always says it, man, soccer's brutal, man. Like soccer, everyone thinks like they see Messi, they see Ronaldo, they see all these guys, they're driving Lambos and it's like, yes, there is like some guys, but a lot of them are not, right? A lot of them are not. And I know you could probably, relate to that. You can probably tell me how that really is, but a lot of guys are definitely not, being compensated like that. You know what I mean?
Nah, yeah, those are anomalies. It's even like any sport like that. You see, like we see the LeBron James, we see the Messis, we see the Ronaldos, we see the Neymars. That's peak of the peak. And then you got, everyone else. So it's not always bright lights, it's hard work involved. There's, down days involved as well. But at the end of the day, to be able to play a sport that you love and get paid for it fairly well, if you're being honest with yourself, it's a blessing. So, you got to take it in stride, and with that, just be grateful and take advantage of the opportunity.
And that's why I don't like, as a kid, you watch other sports, you get mad when a guy gets, goes to another team. Like, how you gonna leave my team, man? But as you get older, you're like, take the money, man. You know what I mean? Take what you can, because you only have this much time to, gather it together.
I tell everyone, the only person you need to be loyal to is yourself. because
Right.
when you're done playing, it's not like they're not going to be like, oh yeah, you need to do this, you need to do this, we got you. No, it's the next cycle. Like
Right.
in football, they say next man up, and that's really what it's like. So take care of you, play in the best situation that is for you. Sometimes it may be playing for a coach that sees your value. Sometimes it may be playing for a team for less money, but you know that the team is like going to win, and because of that, you're going to get more exposure. Sometimes it's you know coming in as a utility player. You're not going to be the star player, but you know that you know your role within the squad, and the team has made it clear. So you got to find the situation that works for best for you, and sometimes it may be what is not good from like the outside standpoint.
Is it like a the only reason I ask is I know NFL is like every Monday they get paid. Is it like a monthly thing with like soccer, like MLS, USL? Is it like a monthly paycheck or is it like this like
Oh yeah, so you get paid monthly or bi-weekly. So first and the 15th or the first of the month. It really all depends. Basketball first and 15th. I know NFL's for 17 weeks out of the 52 weeks in the year.
they get paid?
Uh,
Yeah. And then they stop getting paid
so
the rest of the year.
yeah,
Yeah.
baseball, everyone's different. So
Okay.
that's why it's important to understand your budget and you know what's coming in, what's coming out.
Just asking because I was just curious because I know NFL is like that. It's like, hey, they get paid during the season. After that, it's like it's
Yeah,
dry. So a lot of guys
have,
blow their money.
have fun, make it last.
Yeah. So is it like as far as like and this is a question I have personally, like is housing provided usually with these teams for these guys?
Really depends. It's all negotiated in the contract. I know for USL teams, most of the teams, because of how they are able to compensate their players, they include housing. So whether it's a housing stipend or they have relationships with various apartments, and they get a lot of departments that they can give to certain guys. So they're not having to pay for their rent. But it all comes down to you and the team. I know in MLS it works a little bit differently. Some of the younger guys may be um, either in a free apartment or something like that, or a free house, or they'll get like a major discount for using a partner of the club or something like that. But it all depends on who you are, player, team, community, all that.
Yeah, man. It's just a lot of little things that go with the team. A lot of people just see the 11 guys on the field or the 20 guys on at the stadium, but there's like so many moving parts with like running a professional team and everything that's behind it, right? Like the medical staff and the housing and the food and nutrition and
Yeah,
training, all that. It's
a
I've always
lot of
been
money
very
goes
interested in
into it.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've always been very interested in that. So yeah, man. So I don't want to take too much of your time. I know it's Friday. Are you in Austin right now?
Yeah, so I'm in Austin right now. We've been in second week of preseason at this point.
Take my preseason. Okay. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, how much longer are you gonna go, man? You're thinking what, 5 more years, maybe?
I might wake up tomorrow and be done. I might go another 10 years. Who knows? I'm just playing it by ear.
Hey, man, even you see all these guys go into their 40s, and why not?
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna be me, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm just gonna count my blessings. The fact that I've been able to play 10 plus years, over 200 games is, something that not a lot of people have been able to do, and I'm very blessed. But as you know, I'm always looking to do some different things. So we'll see where life takes me. I'm just kind of try to stay healthy and have fun and go from there.
Are you looking to stay on the sideline, maybe as a coach or in managing or
Nope, no coaching. Nope, not gonna be a coach. I don't have the patience, and I know that's probably gonna change. And I could coach my future kids and something like that. But I'm more of like a trainer. I'll train and stuff, like do personal training and stuff like that. But coaching, I don't see myself doing coaching.
yeah, a lot of guys go into that. But I was doing it for a long time. I still coach the high school team where I work at, but I was doing the whole club thing, but it was just the time commitment was ridiculous. And it was just like the second that the season ended, sorry, the time that my son was born, I stopped coaching. I
Okay.
realized how valuable the weekends were. Like, wow, I don't have to go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was a lot. And it wasn't like the grind of like coaching or the kids or planning or training. That was fun. But it's just, it's a huge commitment. This is a whole
It's
time thing.
just
And like,
it's
I don't
just
know.
it's really tough. So that's why I respect coaches for like their patience that they have and all that. It takes a lot of work. So mad respect to any coach, referees, staff, all that. They should get their credit and much deserved praise.
Well, eventually, man, I hope to see you and continue to do what you're doing. I wish you like the best of luck, especially like with that, your whole media platform that you're kind of building behind you, as far as like with your podcast and your content that you're uploading. And then obviously, the Frugal Athlete, of course, and the foundation that you're involved with. I wish you like all the best of luck, and I'm going to share all your stuff, in the podcast episode notes and try to support you as much as I can from here.
Man, that's love, man. I appreciate you having me on. I know we finally got it done, so that's a blessing. So let me know when this goes live, and definitely gonna follow up. And next time I'm back in Sac, let's definitely connect.
Yeah, man, I see you everywhere. I'm like, okay, this dude is literally like one thing I respect about you big time is that you're able to just like answer my DM and say, yeah, I got you. Obviously, like you said, we were chasing it for 2-3 weeks, but it's not a big deal, right? It's a difficulty, as a podcast, like, try to get guests lined up at a certain.
Oh my goodness.
It's really hard.
Yeah, that's why you got to get the Calendly link, and then just like, once they agree, you just send them that link, and then they're gonna find the time in their schedule. So then you do all your work set up already. I'm telling you.
And the issue that came up was that number one, like yesterday I went to get my second vaccine. So it was like,
how are you feeling? You feeling all right with it?
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest, like this will air next week, so we'll be only a week back. But yeah, I feel good, man. I guess this is more than one day, and I don't feel anything. My arm was sore. But that's normal from last time as well.
Yeah.
And then like kind of like this little collarbone area kind of feels like I've been kind of like when you sleep wrong or you throw up a lot, but I didn't, but I don't have anything else. My wife keeps asking me if I'm okay. She got it a little bit tougher than me, and I know a lot of other people that kind of wipes you out for a couple hours, but I'm thankful that it's not affecting me too much. And we're going to be in the classroom in the next, we're going to go back to school Monday for the first time.
Oh, congrats, man. And shout out to you. Shout out to you too. And like all the other teachers, man, y'all really grinded this past year, and people don't give you guys enough credit. I got a couple of friends that are teachers, got a couple of family members, and it's like, yeah, you guys deserve your praise too.
I appreciate that. It's been super tough. Like my mom's she was a teacher in Davis. So that's what I say like, that's how I knew the Anibabas, Jaleel, because they were at my school, but I didn't know them like that. And then my mom actually taught the little sister, like the little one. So, so we know a lot of people, and my mom taught, and she had to stop teaching because the COVID thing it was like too much, and she teaches kindergarten and was like, this is not the same. And she only had 1 year left anyways, but she decided like that last year I'm good. So she's been home this whole year, but it's definitely it was a rough thing for us. The students are the ones probably struggling more than us, because they miss that social interaction. They miss that like relationships with kids, with their teacher. And a lot of them are excited to go back, which is so crazy. Cause like they're telling me like, we can't go away to boy. I'm like, wait, you want to go back to you always complain. And so it's pretty cool to
attendance record's going to be off the roof.
Yeah. It's going to be next week. We're going to start. And it's going to be, some kids at home, some kids in. But I think it's definitely been a learning experience for like the world, for us to kind of realize like we're not bigger than these little things. Like something can wipe us all out, we have to be ready.
Stay ready so you never have to get ready.
Yeah, I feel it. So yeah, Amobi, I appreciate your time, bro. And if we could link up with anything else, you got my information, and we'll whatever, man, hit me up. We'll do this.
Perfect. Most definitely. Let me know when it goes live for sure. Definitely. This podcast came out real clean. So
hey, that's what we do. Hey, that's what I do. Hey, imagine, okay, I don't want you to hear my old ones, because like at first I started off with guests that were people I knew. Like I had my wife on, I had my brother on, I had different people.
That's what you got to do. That's how it is.
And it was more comfortable because it was just me and them. But then, the first time I got someone that I kind of knew but didn't really know him, like I could see myself talking so fast. Like I was going crazy, like, bro, so, I was getting nervous, and it was like, I think I've definitely gotten better this is episode 38. So I've definitely gotten better than since, the first 5.
Yeah. Sure. It's crazy how quick it goes. Like you're like, damn, I'm started. I can remember when your first episode, and then now it's like, you're already almost at 40.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I appreciate you, man. We'll link up, bro.
No, most definitely.
All right, man. All right. Good luck.
Have a good day, man.
You too.